Hello guys, welcome to my channel Biology with Fun. Today we are going to start a topic that is nutrition. So this is basically a subtopic of a chapter that is known as life process. So let's get started. First of all, we need to understand that what is living things and what is the non-living thing. I think you all must have studied in your lower classes that what are living things and what are non-living things. The same revision we are going to do over here. Okay, so what are living things and what are non-living things? So all the plants and animals, including human beings, they all are living things. Why? Because they are alive. So they are living thing because they are alive. See, I will give you one example. You can see around you, you can see there is a chair, which if you just see around you, you can find a chair, you can find a cat, or you can find a dog. So you can see that this cat and dog, they are living and this chair is non-living. Now, how you can classify that? These are the living ones and these are the non-living ones. So you can classify them as living and non-living on basis of certain criteria. So what are that criteria that we are going to see? So criteria are living things can move. Living things they need food, air and water. Living things can grow. Living thing can respond. Living thing can respire. Living thing can excrete. Living thing can reproduce. And all the non-living beings or all the non-living things, they cannot do all these things. Okay, suppose there is a chair, so you cannot expect from a chair to move on its own from one place to another. The chair is not having food, air or water. Chair doesn't grow and it's not going to respond to you if you are giving any external stimuli. Chair doesn't respire, do not need energy, do not excrete, and do not reproduce. You cannot see, you cannot have observed that chair it duplicates itself and it became another chair. Okay, but you have seen a dog and you have seen a puppy. Okay, so puppy, it's the baby, or we can say it's the reproductive unit of dog. So dog or plants or animals, they perform all these functions, so that's why they are known as living being. And non-living being, they do not follow all these things, so that's why they are known as non-living things. So what are living things and non-living things, that is clear from this example. Now we'll proceed to the next slide. So the basic function performed by living organism to maintain their life on this earth is called life process. Now all the living beings, they perform certain basic functions. What are that certain basic functions that we are going to see in this chapter? So all living things, they perform certain basic functions, and with that basic functions they can maintain their life on earth. So what are that basic function? That is nutrition, respiration, transportation, excretion, control, coordination, growth, movement and reproduction. So all these are the life processes which we are going to see in this chapter. In this video, we are going to deal with one life process, that is nutrition. So to start with nutrition, we must know that what is food. So what is food? So food is a kind of fuel, and fuel, it gives us energy, and this energy is given to the all living organism. So all living organisms, they need energy. Either they need energy to move, to walk, to grow, to reproduce. And from where this energy is coming? This energy is coming from the food that the organisms are eating. So what is basically food? Food is an organic substance. Now there are two terms and students often get confused between that. That is nutrient and nutrition. So what is nutrient? So nutrient are the substance like carbohydrate, fats, proteins, vitamins, minerals. So nutrients are the substance which provide us energy. So these are going to give us energy. So what the nutrients are going to do? Nutrients are going to give us energy. They are also going to build our body. They are also going to protect us from the disease. So these are the nutrients. And from where we get the nutrients? We get nutrients from our surrounding. Okay, from our surrounding, from our environment, we get all these nutrients. So these nutrients are required for energy, for building our body, for protecting us from the disease. And what is nutrition? Nutrition is the process of taking this carbohydrate, fat, protein, vitamin, mineral from the environment to the organism. So organism, the process by which an organism take all these nutrients into its body and perform all the functions. So this process is known as nutrition. So this you must always remember. Now mode of nutrition. Now mode of nutrition means the process of taking all the nutrients. So here all the nutrients are there and here the organism is there. So the process of taking all the nutrients by the organism, that is known as nutrition. So nutrition, it is of two types, that is autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. Now what is auto? Auto means self. So all those organisms which make their own food, and how they are going to make their own food, by taking simple inorganic materials or substance from nature, like they are taking carbon dioxide, water, they are taking sunlight, and then they are making their food. So they are taking simple inorganic substance and they are going to make organic food out of it. Okay, example is green plants and some of the bacteria. Now heterotrophic nutrition, what is this type of nutrition? This is the type of nutrition in which organism cannot make its own food. It has to depend on other organism for its food. Example, all the animals, bacteria and fungi. Now heterotrophic nutrition is of three types, that is saprotrophic, parasitic, holozoic. What is saprotrophic? Organisms which obtain their food from dead plant and decaying animal body. So what this organism do? This organism, they get sit on the dead plants and decaying body substances. Then they secrete the digestive juices enzyme on this dead organism, and then this digestive enzyme degrade that dead substance, and then they suck their nutrition from that. Example for saprophytic nutrition is fungi and bacteria. Parasitic nutrition, this type of organism derive food from the body of another living organism without killing it. So parasitic nutrition, what happened? There is an organism and it get its food from the body of another living organism, and from the organism from which they are getting their food, that organism is known as host and it is not being killed. Okay, so parasitic, and the organism which derive this type of nutrition, that is known as parasite. So parasite derive its nutrition from the host and host is not killed. Okay, so parasite is an organism which feed on another living organism, and examples of parasite are lice, cuscuta, plasmodium, roundworm and ticks. What is holozoic nutrition? So organism take the complex. Holozoic nutrition means in this type of nutrition an organism take complex organic food into its body, and how it takes by ingestion, then food is digested, then it is absorbed, assimilated and ingested. So this is the holozoic nutrition. So what is holozoic nutrition? In this type of nutrition, the organism take complex food, and then this complex food is broken down by the human digestive system into small simple food. Okay, so this breaking down of the complex organic molecule into simple organic a molecule which is easily digested by the body, that is the holozoic nutrition. Now we'll see nutrition in plants. We all have seen that plants, they have autotrophic mode of nutrition, means they make their own food. So the process by which the plant make their own food by using carbon dioxide, water, then sunlight, chlorophyll, it is known as photosynthesis. Okay, so here what happened, you all must be aware that leaves are known as the kitchen. Leaves are known as the kitchen of the plant. So here in leaves the photosynthesis take place. So carbon dioxide from the atmosphere is taken inside, carbon dioxide is taken, water is taken, chlorophyll is present inside, sunlight is taken, and with the help of all these things the leaves make the food. Now the leaves taking carbon dioxide, water, sunlight, they make the food, and that food is known as glucose. So whenever the glucose is produced in extra amounts, first of all, this glucose is utilized by the plant for making energy, for getting energy, and this extra glucose is stored in the form of starch. Okay, now the photosynthesis. This is the photosynthesis, the making of glucose. So photosynthesis involves three steps. What are that three steps? The first is absorption of sunlight by chlorophyll. Now here in the leaves, leaves are green due to the color, due to the presence of chlorophyll. The chlorophyll is a pigment which absorbs sunlight and it is present inside the chloroplast. First of all, what is the first step of the photosynthesis? This chlorophyll is going to absorb the sunlight. Okay. Now the sunlight which is absorbed by the chlorophyll, this light energy is converted into chemical energy by splitting the water. Water which is taken over here. So what happened? Here we have water. So whatever energy is absorbed by this chlorophyll, this energy is taken by utilized by this water to produce chemical energy. Now this water is broken down into two constituents, that is H and O2, and here the light energy is used or it is converted into chemical energy. Now the carbon dioxide which is taken from the environment, this carbon dioxide, this is the third process. This carbon dioxide is reduced to carbohydrate. Okay, so here the hydrogen which is produced, this hydrogen is utilized, and this this carbon dioxide is reduced and it is made into carbohydrate, that is glucose. So this is the basic, or we can say the simple steps are involved in photosynthesis. In higher classes we are going to study more about this in the detail. Now the question comes, now we have seen that many things are required by the leaves for the photosynthesis, like water is required, carbon dioxide is required, sunlight, chlorophyll is required. Now we'll see like how they this plant get all these things. So plant obtain carbon dioxide. From where the plant get the carbon dioxide? So plant get carbon dioxide from the tiny pores, and these tiny pores are known as stomata, and they are present on the surface of the leaf. So this is leaf, and on this leaf we have the small pores, and that small pores or that small openings are known as stomata. And this is the structure of stomata. The stomata is made out of two guard cells. Now these are the two guard cells, and these guard cells, they swell up and then they get contract, and in this way they open and they get closed. Okay, so you can see here this is the closed stomata. When this is when the cell get what we can say, when the cells guard cells get swell up, then you can see the closed stomata, and when the cell contracts you can see the open stomata. Now this opening, it allows the carbon dioxide and oxygen exchange in the leaf, and it also allows transpiration to take place. Then the next is in broadleaf, the leaves which are very broad. Okay, so the broadleaf stomata occur only on the lower surface, but in the narrow leaf the stomata are equally distributed on both the sides of the leaf. Now the question arises, how the plants get the water? So plant get water from the root. You must have seen that trees or the plants, they have root. Now what's the function of root? Root absorbs the water from the soil. So root absorbs the water from the soil, and this water is transported in the form, water is transported by a conducting or the vascular system, and that is known as xylem. So xylem is present in the tree or in the plant. Now water is absorbed from the root, and through the xylem this water is transported to each and every part of the tree. Along with the water, several minerals which are essential for the plants like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, magnesium, they also get dissolved in water, and they also get transported to the entire tree or entire plant. Then now the question arises, where the photosynthesis take place. So the photosynthesis take place in the chloroplast. So here you can see this is the leaf, and in leaf we have chloroplast. Now here in chloroplast the photosynthesis take place. Now this is the structure of chloroplast. How does chloroplast looks? So this is the outer membrane and this is the inner membrane, and between the outer and the inner membrane you have intermembrane space. Now inside the chloroplast, this stack-like structure that is known as grana. Okay, and this one particular stack or this one particular structure, it is known as thylakoid, and this matrix region is known as stroma. Now the photosynthesis take place in grana and in stroma. So there are series of chemical reaction and a lot of enzymes are involved in the photosynthesis, and here in both this region the photosynthesis take place. So this all you will study in the higher classes in more detail. Now nutrition in animals. We have seen how the nutrition is done in the plants. In plants the nutrition is done by the autotrophic mode of nutrition. They make their own food by using carbon dioxide, water, sunlight and chlorophyll. But in animal it's not like that. Animals they are heterotrophic. What they do, animals they get their food from plants or they get their food from other animals. Now there are certain non-green plants. There are plants which are not green. They cannot do photosynthesis, so they also get their food from the other plant and the animal. Example are pitcher plant, Venus flytrap. They get their food by eating insects. So now animals they are of three type on basis of their feeding habit. They are three type: herbivorous, carnivorous, omnivorous. Herbivorous which eat only plants like cow, buffalo, goat, sheep. Carnivorous which eat other animal or they are the flesh eating animals like lion, tiger, frog. Omnivorous which eat both plants and animal. It include human beings, dogs, crows, sparrow, deer, myna and ant. So to start with the nutrition in animals, so the simplest animal which is present on the earth, that is the amoeba. It is a unicellular organism. It's very small and it also has holozoid mode of nutrition. Now holozoid mode of nutrition again means it takes or it ingests the complex organic food material, and this holozoid mode of nutrition, that is also known as, it is also known as phagocytosis. Now phago means to eat and cytosis means by cell. So as the amoeba it is a single cellular organism, so it is a cell and it is eating, so that's why it is known as phagocytosis. So here we will see how the amoeba does the nutrition. So this is the amoeba, that is a unicellular organism and it eats microscopic plant and animals. Now this is here you can see the first step in the nutrition, that is ingestion. In ingestion what happens, that amoeba it makes false food or it protrudes its body out and it makes pseudopodia, that is known as false food, to engulf the food. Okay, now here you can see in digestion the food is engulfed and here food vacuole is created. Now here in the food vacuole, in the food vacuole, the amoeba cell or this cell it secretes its digestive enzymes over here. So all the digestive enzymes which are present in the cell is being secreted here in the food vacuole. Now here the digestion take place. Now you can see the food is being digested. Now here what happens, the food which is being digested or the complex food which has been broken down into the simple compounds, that is being absorbed by the cell. As only one cell is there, so all the activity has to be done by the single cell only. So here you can see the food is absorbed by this cell, and here this food which is absorbed by this cell, now this cell utilizes this food for doing certain work or to produce energy. Now the waste material which is remaining in this vacuole, that can be thrown out in egestion by the cell membrane. So cell membrane get ruptured and the waste material that can be thrown out through the cell, through the cell membrane into the outside environment. So this is basically the nutrition steps or the nutrition in the amoeba. It involves 5 steps. What are that? Ingestion, taking food; digestion, digesting the food; absorption, absorbing the simple food into the body; assimilation, absorbed food is being utilized to produce energy; egestion, the waste material has to be excreted from the cell. Now, as we have seen nutrition in humans, nutrition in amoeba, now we'll proceed with the nutrition in human beings. So now the nutrition for nutrition to do nutrition has to be done in the human being. For that, we have human digestive system in human body. Now, this digestive system it consists of lot of organs along with the associated glands. So, human digestive system it consists of many organs, and that many organs together they form alimentary canal. Along with that, they have some glands also which help in the digestion. So what are the organs which are present in the human digestive system? So we will see mouth, that is oral cavity, buccal cavity, esophagus, then we have stomach, then we have small intestine, large intestine, then these are the associated glands. Now, these are the glands which produce digestive enzymes, they produce digestive juices which are required for the digestion of the food. So, this we are going to see in detail over here. So here you can see this is the mouth. Okay, this is the mouth or the buccal cavity. Now the food it enters from the mouth. In mouth we have teeth. Teeth, what it is going to do, teeth is going to physically cut the food, or the physical chewing of the food has to be done by the teeth. Tongue, it helps in mixing the food. It helps the food and saliva to mix in the mouth. In mouth or in buccal cavity, we have salivary gland. What we have? We have salivary gland, and this salivary gland secretes saliva. What it is going to secrete? It is going to secrete saliva. Now saliva contain digestive enzyme that is known as salivary amylase, and this salivary amylase act on the starch which is present on the food. So this thing you have to remember, that the digestion of starch starts from the buccal cavity. Now here the food is continuously chewed and it is made into a ball like structure, and that is known as bolus. Now that is allowed to move into the esophagus. Now the food here moves into the esophagus with the help of a movement, and that movement is known as peristaltic movement. What it is known as peristaltic movement. Now what is peristaltic movement? The muscles of the esophagus, they contract and relax, they contract and relax, and with the help of this contraction relaxation a rhythm is produced, and that rhythm allows this food to move into the stomach. Now the food reaches into the stomach, and in the stomach the food is churned for 3 hours. The food is continuously churned with the for the 3 hours. Now the lining of the stomach, it contains gastric gland. What it contains? The lining of stomach, it contains gastric gland. Gastric gland secrete gastric juice. So what it is going to secrete? It is going to secrete gastric juice. Now gastric juice consists of three substances, that is HCl and pepsin. Let me write. So it contains HCl, pepsin, and it also contains mucus. Okay. So it contains HCl, pepsin, and it contains mucus. Now what's the function of HCl? So function of HCl is, so whatever the food is coming into the stomach, sometimes what happens, if some germs or some bacteria are there along with the food, so this HCl will help to kill that germs or kill that bacteria. Again, the next thing which is produced by the gastric juice is pepsin. So pepsin is an enzyme which start the digestion of the protein. Now this pepsin will get activated only into the acidic environment. So this HCl create an acidic environment for the activity of this pepsin enzyme. Now mucus is also present over here, so that HCl which is produced in the stomach, that does not corrode the wall of the stomach. So wall of the stomach, corrosion of the wall of the stomach is prevented by the mucus which is secreted by the mucous membrane which is present in the stomach. Now the food is churned for the 3 hours, and then the food is made into a semi-solid paste that is known as chyme. Okay, now this chyme is allowed to go into the small intestine. Now here in the small intestine, this liver, this secrete a digestive enzyme that is known as bile. What it is going to secrete? It is going to secrete a digestive enzyme that is known as digestive juice that is known as bile. Bile is yellowish green fluid, and it is alkaline in nature. Okay, so it is alkaline in nature. It is not acidic in nature. It is alkaline in nature. And what is its function? Its function is to break fat. Okay, so what it is going to do, it is going to break the fat into small globules. Okay, So this liver is secreting bile, and this bile is being stored in the gallbladder. Here, gallbladder. Now, from gallbladder, it is going to be this bile juice is going to be given to the food which is present in the small intestine. Now, here we have pancreas also. You can see pancreas. So here we have pancreas, this yellow color. Pancreas secrete pancreatic enzyme. Now this pancreatic enzyme also consists of three types of enzyme, that is pancreatic amylase, pancreatic lipase, and pancreatic trypsin. Okay, so it's having three type of enzyme. This pancreatic enzymes, or you can say that pancreatic juice, pancreatic juice, it consists of three types of pancreatic juice. It consists of three types of enzymes. What are the three types of enzymes? That three type of enzyme, it is known as trypsin, that is pancreatic trypsin, lipase, and amylase. Now, what this trypsin is going to do? What is this trypsin is going to do? It is going to break the protein. What this lipase is going to do? It is going to break the fat. And what this amylase is going to do? This amylase is going to break the carbohydrate, or it's going to break the glucose. Okay, so now what will happen, all these digestive enzymes like from liver, the bile juice formed from pancreatic juice, intestine, small intestine also has intestinal juice. So that small intestine, it secretes it in intestinal juice, and here the complete digestion of food take place in the small intestine. Here complete digestion of food take place, in which what happen, that carbohydrate is broken down into simple glucose, protein is broken down into simple amino acid, and fat is broken down into simple globules, glycerol, or fatty acid. Now the food is allowed to go, let me rub this. Now the food is allowed to pass into the small intestine. Now the next step start, that is the absorption. The food is allowed to pass into the small intestine. Now the wall of small intestine, this is the wall of small intestine. The wall of small intestine, it contains small projection, and the small projections are known as villi. It increases the surface area of the small intestine, and when the surface area of the small intestine increases, it increases the absorption area also. Here the blood vessels are connected in the body, and this blood vessels absorb the food molecules from the small intestine. So here the absorption take place, the food molecules are absorbed by the blood vessels, and then that food molecule is transported to complete body. Now the food now the undigested food along with the water, that passes into the large intestine. Now in large intestine, the wall of large intestine, they absorb extra water which is present in the undigested food along with the minerals, essential minerals. Now after that, when all the water and minerals are absorbed from the food, undigested food, it becomes solid, and then the waste which is produced, undigested food, that is stored in the rectum, and then it is passed out through the body, through the anus. So this all things you can see. This is all things whatever we have discussed. The main thing which you have to remember is that digestion of starch starts from the mouth. Okay. Gastric juice. You have seen that in stomach. Gastric juice was secreted by the wall of the stomach, and gastric juice contains HCl, enzyme, pepsin, and mucus. The function of HCl is to kill the germs, to make acidic environment for pepsin, and the function of mucus is to protect the lining of the stomach. The protein digestion begins from the stomach, that you have to remember. Now the liver, it secretes biles. Bile has two important functions: to make the acidic food alkaline and to break the fat into small globules. Okay. Then here you have seen pancreatic amylase, pancreatic trypsin, and pancreatic lipase. It is present in the pancreatic juice, and they have their different functions which we have seen. Assimilation take place. What is assimilation? Assimilation means using the food which is absorbed by the body for producing energy.
Okay, now this is the last topic of this chapter, that is dental caries. What is dental caries? So, what happens sometimes on our tooth, some black holes get developed, and that black holes, they are known as dental caries. Now, what are the dental caries that we are going to see? See, if we are not brushing our teeth regularly, or at night after eating your food, if you are not brushing your teeth regularly, then what will happen? The food material will get struck into your tooth, and the bacteria will start acting on that food material, and that bacteria will produce acid, and that acid is going to damage the strongest or the hardest material of our body, that is enamel. You must be knowing that enamel is the outer covering of the tooth. When that enamel gets broken down, then the bacteria, they can invade inside our tooth and they can start growing over here. And when they start growing over here, that condition is known as cavity. Okay, so whenever the teeth are not properly clean, they become covered with a sticky yellowish layer of food particle and bacterial cells, and that is known as dental plaque. Sometimes you must have seen some people, they have a yellowish cover on their tooth. Why? Because they are not properly following the dental hygiene, and due to that, their tooth is covered by the yellowish layer, and that yellowish layer is known as the dental plaque. So here the chapter ends, and here our topic, that is nutrition, it get ends. Okay, thank you.